Hi and welcome back. So my name's Dratlow44. Welcome to another video from me, of course. So basically today is going into Dummies Big Day, a limited time mode that I haven't really tried all that much in the past. Kind of avoided it for various reasons, but actually it is a pretty good mode and a bit underrated, and I'm going to go through the reasons why. Now before I go into it, do remember not to fly through that laser because you will die. Just kidding, but actually it does happen. But do remember to never stop moving, never stop believing, and stay Apex. Alright, let's get into the content on the video. So, in truth, the reasons why I've never particularly liked this mode is because with the legends, they all have their personalities, and that's kind of why, like, I have ones that I really like. I did a kind of like a most fun and least fun video as well for playability, but personality does kind of play its part, and I'm going to do actually a ranking video at some point on the personalities of each legend as well. Hopefully that'll be an interesting one, something a little different at least. But for this particular video, one of the things that I've always kind of found a little bit, something that I personally found a bit I didn't like initially, was of course the fact that you had no voice or no speech. But then of course when you actually look into it, you realise that this kind of game mode actually has one really key and very good thing, and that is that Legends abilities and ultimates, they make such a difference within the game of Apex Legends. Look at players or legends like Caustic, Gibraltar, you know, Revenant, even other ones, because there are some other ones that are quite strong as well. But this is the point. But when you suddenly take it onto an equal field and you say, no, none of the legends have got any different abilities, they all have exactly the same. The only difference is that the ultimate is random between the sort of like the emergency heal, a dance party, and the Pinata, whatever you call it, one as well, where you throw down loads of loot onto the ground. And that is basically, it comes down to pure gun skill. So this means that when you're in a fight, you are going to not have to deal with all those abilities that are an absolute pain. And it was kind of like, actually, this is quite refreshing. So, interestingly enough, it is something where I then did some checks. So, as regards to legend stats, so if you get kills in this particular mode, you do not get any extra kills on any of the legends at all. I checked it, I screenshotted all of my sort of like legend kills beforehand, played this game, got some kills, not that many admittedly, but we did get a win, which was amazing, and you know, literally kind of like worked it out from there. So you do not get any legend kills, which is fine, but it does affect your kill to death ratio, so your kills will be tracked on it and your deaths will be tracked on it as well. So it's kind of like something where it is a really good mode to actually practice and get better with your gun skills and your movement and your decision making, because you haven't got all the abilities and things to have to deal with, where a Wraith gets away because she happens to go into the void, a Caustic throws out a gas trap and, you know, completely disables you, Gibraltar calls down his bombardment, things like that, you know, that can so affect a fight that you would have otherwise won. And the same as Lifeline's passive, no one has got that passive. Honestly, absolutely brilliant. So it then becomes a good way of practicing your aim, your accuracy, can you hit your shots, the kind of guns you're using, you can kind of practice with the kind of weapons you have, and you can kind of go from there. And there's not like the distractions in the same way as there was before, because of course, like anything, there's not the sort of sound effects or the kind of things. Now, I have to say that this guy comes roaring out, and he knew exactly where I was, and he absolutely destroyed me, unfortunately. Luckily, he was low on health. The guy kills him, so happy days, I get revived. But yeah, I mean, like, as regards to this type of mode, it is a really, really good way of kind of practicing exactly what you're doing. It's a good way of sort of like improving your judgments. Now, I did do a video not that long ago, a couple of days ago, about some little tips and little things that can help regarding playing Apex Legends in the normal, of course, mode. If you do want to check that out, I've linked it in the description below, so have a look if you get the time and do want to sort of like have a look up on it and see if that will help you. But yeah, I mean, like, as regards to this mode, I do feel like it was actually much more underrated than I first imagined. Now with me, as I said, the big thing for me is I didn't like that there was the silence, because I love the characters' personalities. I think that is one thing that Respawn have really excelled at, is bringing the personalities, choosing the right voice actors to really bring those characters to life, and I honestly think that is absolutely incredible. I mean, like, it really makes the game kind of stand out above all other Battle Royales for me, and that's why I've always particularly liked this particular game over games like Fortnite or, you know, other games that are Battle Royale orientated. Some aren't bad, but you know, it is a really good way of just practicing in it. Now, I mean, this is my first game of my day, so unfortunately my aim is not that great. You know, it's so easy to kind of like, you know, you see people jumping in and straight away their aim is perfection, and sometimes on some days it is, and on other days it's not so great, so you do miss some shots and all that stuff. But however, it's a really good experience just to kind of, you know, play around with it, actually try out this mode if you haven't already, and give it a go, because you haven't got the same distractions as before. Storm does seemingly do a lot of damage, I will say, so try not to get caught in the storm circle, because that can really absolutely destroy you. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, of course, you know, as regards to gunplay, decision making, movement, you know, winning a fight, losing a fight, it's a really good actually way of gaining experience as to how to, of course, actually benefit from that. And it really does make a difference. I mean, actually, you know, there's little things like, I suppose, not relying on your ultimate or your passive or your L1 ability thing, because amazingly enough, you know, in normal Apex gameplay, we all rely on that depending on the character we play. I mean, if I play Mirage, I rely on throwing out those decoys and going into his ultimate. It's not the best ultimate, it's not the best L1 ability, but it can be helpful depending on the skill level of the player that you're up against. But you rely on it, don't you? But in this particular mode, you don't. There's none of that. You have an ultimate, you don't know which one you're going to get because it's random out of 3, and you have no other distractions. It's just pure gun skill. And, you know, colour-wise, I mean, I know that they do say that the darker dummies are the better ones to go for, the black/grey, blue even is quite popular as well, and the reason for that is because they're a little bit harder to see in darker areas. There is some truth in that, and, you know, if you really have a preference and you get to pick first, yeah, no harm in picking that. But actually, ability-wise, there's no difference between any of them. And it is just a really interesting mode. It gives you a kind of a bit of an opportunity, shall we say, just to improve as a player in the ways that maybe you don't normally get to practice. Now, I know that they threw this mode out as a kind of an emergency one. It had a glitch the first day it came out, so it was crashing servers apparently, so they stopped it and then they put out a different one and they brought this one back now for the week. And at first I was like, oh, Dummies big day, yeah, great. It's really kind of, I've never liked it. When it first came out, it was interesting because there was a couple of new abilities, but of course when I first tried this the first day actually before it got taken away, there was no new stuff to it. I was like, oh well, that's boring then, nothing interesting. But it was kind of like it got me thinking, you know, I suppose when I saw it come back, I just thought, actually, do you know what, maybe I've personally underrated this particular mode, and I found out that I had. And I think this is a kind of a big thing where, you know, you do realise that these modes, they can have their benefits, and this is why I wanted to share it with you. I mean, I'm sure there's other YouTubers doing exactly the same thing, and if there is, fair enough. But it is a mode that you can take advantage of. You know, the health and the shields is quite reasonable. You've got the L1 ability to throw out random health as well. It gives you a chance to really kind of push when you need to and kind of like learn and things like that. Now, there is probably one thing that I regret doing in this particular match, and that is picking up the Devotion. Now, it's not that the Devotion isn't a good gun. I do get a kill with it, but I should have kept the triple take. And the reason for that is because of the extra range it would have helped in the end part of the fight. Luckily, it didn't matter too much, but, you know, it's just one of those things where you can definitely sort of see little things that you could have done better that maybe would have helped and all those things. And as I say, that is probably the one thing that, you know, I perhaps regret in hindsight. But, you know, however, it's one of those things that you do at the time, and of course, this is why it's very handy to sort of help with things like judgment and decision making and things like that, you know, because you can learn from it. You can say, right, okay, well, you know, I made a mistake there, let's not make that mistake again, let's use that in future games. I picked a battle that wasn't a good fight, I was in a bad position, let's not do that again. And I picked up a gun that perhaps was not best for the circumstances that we were in at the time. Devo is generally pretty good, so I wouldn't say that there's many times I could honestly say I regret taking it, and I didn't know that it was going to end the way it did. So yeah, I mean, you learn from these things. But the point is, the recap is look, this mode is definitely worth checking out. There's definitely ways to learn from it. Not be distracted by the character interactions and the saying thank yous and all the bits that you normally do, because it's all seemingly silent, and you're not worried about the abilities when you come up against another dummy. You're on equal ground, so it then becomes how good is your aim compared to theirs. If your aim is better, you win. If their aim is better, they win. I think that kind of sounds a bit like Blisk there, but you know, that was kind of the bottom line of it. So yeah, so coming up in a sec is a bit of positional play for those who, of course, are always trying to improve as players. Honestly, I feel like I'm trying to improve all the time. Now, I've been playing this game for quite a while. Does that make me the best and perfect player? No. I still make mistakes as well. I think we all kind of do, apart from the really high level, but even they have their bad days as well, I suppose, but just less. I find that, like with Apex, if you're on point, you have some really great games, and if you're not on point, you don't. But then I kind of learned about skill-based matchmaking that apparently the first game is supposed to be a little bit easier as well than the rest. Now, that might be a video topic I cover at some point, I'm not sure. It depends if I can find enough information to be able to share that with you guys. There are other videos on YouTube, to be fair, about it, so you know, you could just, of course, go and check them out instead. But yeah, I mean, like, this is exactly it. So the person has gone by themselves. Don't ask me why. They are distracted by the first guy shooting, so I just flank round. He's totally got his back turned, and he's now in a crossfire. And, you know, annihilation. Do not put yourselves into those kind of positions, because you will get killed. If you stray away too far away from your team, if you stray away too far away from the sort of the action, but you're too far away from the rest of your team, you are going to get yourself killed. Now, it is a team game, and it is something that really kind of comes into this, as to, you know, literally something that you are looking to try and get that win. If you are kind of win orientated, if you're trying to get kills, you want to get kills. But if you push too much by yourself, you are likely to get yourself killed, because you cannot usually take out 2 or 3 people. Now, this is just a point where I would say that the devotion really kind of didn't come into its own. I wasn't close enough, and I couldn't get close enough, and that kind of really sucked, and that was where I wished I had the triple take. But look, that is the main bulk of the video. Try Dummies Big Day. I think you'll enjoy it more than you think, and it hopefully will improve your gun skill, your movement, your judgement, and your decision making, and all those good things. Because let's face it, we all make mistakes, and I nearly got killed right there. So do remember to never stop moving, never stop believing, and stay Apex. If you liked the video, enjoyed the content, then a like on the video would really help. And if you do want to subscribe for future content, then of course that would be absolutely amazing. I'm always looking to post out new videos. But otherwise, that is it for me for this particular video. You have a great rest of the day. Take care. Cheers now. Bye.